Hello everyone, welcome. It is Juliet here, and today we are going to learn how to make these beaded beads, which you could then use to put into a necklace like so, or a bracelet, or I think this would be very cute as just an earring with a little pearl drop at the bottom as well, like this. So really you can use them in any way that you want to. So I am using the supplies that came in the Potomac Beads Spirit of 76 treasure box that came out in beginning of July, okay? So all of these materials that I'm using were included in that box. So what you are going to need, those are kind of optional, those pearls there, those are the these ones 6x9 drop beads. But anyway, you will need some Czech glass pressed squares, and these, as you can see here, they kind of have two colors in them, so they're red and crystal. And I mean, I have these in tons and tons of different colors, so I could go nuts with this. You will need some DropDuos. So these are 2-hole beads. They are shaped like a teardrop. They are, you can see the 2 holes running through here and here, okay? They are double-sided, and these ones are called, yes, white blue flare. So they're white and then they have like this blue coating on them. So that's what those are, DropDuos, okay? And you will need some 3mm Druks, which we have here. We will need, I'm using some Miyuki Delicas beads that came. And this is the white pearl Ceylon, DB201. Okay, and you will need some 15 O's, and these are also Miyuki, a silver lined crystal. So you will just need a little bit of those as well. So those are the things that you will need. These squares, I will just measure really quickly and let you know what size they are. Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, they are 6mm squares, and these are just 1 hole running through them. They're kind of flat like this, okay? Potomac Beads usually have these in lots of different colors, so you can go and check that out, okay? Alrighty, so you will need about 2.5 feet of thread, which is, let me quickly do some math, about 75 centimeters of thread. And I am using some nylon thread today. You could also use Dragonthread, you could use Fireline. The thread doesn't matter that much, okay? So go ahead, I'm using a size 10 needle as well. You could use a size 11 if that's preferred. I like to use the biggest size I can. All right, so we're going to begin by picking up 1 Delicas and one of our DropDuos, going through the skinny end, where, you know, the skinny end of the drop, okay? So again, a Delicas and a DropDuo, a Delicas, a drop, and a Delicas and a drop. So you're gonna need 8 DropDuos per bead, okay? So you should have this on your needle. I'm just going to bring you in a tiny bit here, okay? And go ahead, push that down, leave yourself a tail that you can weave in at the end, and go through all of those beads again. The same hole and everything, just go through again. We're going to form a loop. Okay, so you should have a loop of thread like this. And then we are going to tie a knot with our tail. And I like to just tie a square knot Um, okay, so we now have this. Okay, so kind of looks like this. So go ahead and enter into the drop, and then you're going to skip down through the side of the drop into the lower hole of the drop, the outside edge, okay? And what you're going to want to do is squish this down so that you're kind of creating like a cone shape, okay? See how that is now? Coming out the bottom hole, you're going to pick up 2 Delicas and you're going to go into the next DropDuo. Okay, so like this. Okay, and then I'm going to turn this a little bit. And again, I'm going to pick up 2 Delicas and I'm going to go into the next DropDuo. And I'm going to do that all the way around to join those outer holes together. Okay, so when you finish that, you should have this, and all the way around the outside, everything is joined together with 2 Delicas on that like lower bit of the curve, okay? All right, but go ahead, pass through your first Delica after your DropDuo, and you're going to pick up a square, a Czech glass square, okay? You're going to pick up a Delica, the wide end of a DropDuo, so you're going through the fat side of it, okay? Another Delica and another square. Okay, so square. All right, so once you've got that, you're going to go, if your thread's coming out in this direction, look behind you. You're going to go into the first Delica before the DropDuo, through the DropDuo, and through the next Delica back to where you started. So I'm going through that one, this one, and this one. So I'm kind of drawing a circle, and when I pull that tight, it's going to look like this. And don't worry, these will be turning all different directions at this point, okay? What we're eventually going to have is we'll be actually showing the side of the bead, not the flat side. So this is the edge of the bead, and then the main bit of it's kind of tucked in there, okay? All right, so now we're going to move forward. So you're going to move forward through the Delica, the DropDuo, and the next Delica. And here we're going to pick up a cube. We're going to pick up a Delica, a DropDuo, and another Delica. Okay, then we're going to sew up through the last cube that we added, and you're going from the far side of it back towards where your thread is coming out, and then we're going to sew through the Delica, the DropDuo, and the Delica back to where we were, and pull that nice and tight, okay? Move forward by sewing through the next Delica, DropDuo, and Delica. You're going to pick up your 4th cube. Again, we're going to pick up a Delica, a DropDuo, and a Delica. We're going to go through the last cube that we added. Okay. So we're kind of doing like craw, but on a huge scale. Okay. And then you're going to go through the Delica, the DropDuo, and the next Delica, okay? And then we have to close this up and add our last DropDuo down here. So you're going to move forward through the next Delica, DropDuo, and Delica. You're going to move down through the first cube that we added, okay? And then you're going to pick up a Delica, our last DropDuo, and our last Delica, and we're going to go back up through the previous cube and move forward through the Delica and the DropDuo. Okay, so stop when you get to the DropDuo, all right? Okay, so we have this, and this is very wobbly at this point. However, we're kind of getting there, okay? Okay, so exiting from the DropDuo now, you're going to pick up two 15-0s, one Delica, one 3mm round, okay, another Delica, and two more 15-0s. Okay, so I've got two 15-0s, then a Delica, a 3mm, and a Delica, and then two more 15-0s, okay? You're going to enter into the opposite duo into the wide hole, okay? So I'm coming out the bottom here, so I'm going in to the bottom on the other side, and you're going to pull this tight, and this is going to kind of make a space between our, we're starting to hold our cubes in place, okay? Make sure that that goes on the right side. You want it between the two cubes like this, okay? Then you're going to pick up two more 15-0s, and you're going to sew into the Delica, the 3mm, and the Delica in the middle of the strand that we just added here, okay? And then you're going to add two more 15-0s, and you're going to sew through the DropDuo, again, the lower hole of the DropDuo that we started in, okay? And when you pull this, it's going to kind of go in between your two cubes. So we're starting to push our cubes into where we want them to be, okay? Now we're going to move forward through our two Delicas and the next drop. Okay. Exiting the drop, we're going to do the same thing. So you're picking up two 15-0s, one Delica, one 3mm, one Delica, and two 15-0s. Okay, so two 15s, Delica, round Delica, and two 15s. Again, coming out the bottom here, so I'm going into the bottom of the next over drop opposite. Give that a pull, pick up your two 15s, go back through the Delica, the round, and the Delica, and pick up two more 15s, and you're going to go through the DropDuo that you started in. Give that all a pull, get all this much slack out as you can, okay? Okay, so we're starting to kind of create a little bit of shape here. It's not going to be solid yet, okay? All right, then go ahead and move forward through the next Delica, the next 2 Delicas and the drop. You're going to repeat, and then you're going to move forward again, and you're going to repeat one more time. So we're doing the same thing between these two, where you're going to pick that up, go through, pick up your 2, pass through the middle of 3, pick up 2, and then move forward and do it one more time. So you're going to do it a total of 4 times. So I'll come back when I've done that. Okay, I'm adding my very last 2 15-0s on here, and I'm going through that last drop duo, and I'm pulling. Okay, all right, so this still is going to feel wobbly, so we're gonna attach this end down here to kind of help us a little bit. Okay, so you're going to pass through the next one, the first Delica. You're going to pass down through the cube, and right now the cubes are still going to be moving around. Okay, that is normal. Then we're going to go through the Delica, the drop duo, and the next 2 Delicas. Okay, and we're going to go all the way around, going through the drop duo and the 2 Delicas in between. And you'll need to be careful that you're going through the Delicas. They may be facing up and down, so you want to make sure that you're going out of a drop duo and then in where it's joining onto the cube. Okay, and then through the drop duo. So just make sure that you're not twisting those Delicas when you're going around. Make sure that, so here I need to go into the bit that's coming out of the drop duo and then going into the one that's going into. Make sure it's facing the right direction. Okay, you're going to go all the way around until those Delicas have all been gone through once. We will be going through these more, so don't worry. Okay, and finish exiting the first drop duo. Move up into the outer end of the drop duo, and you're going to add 1 Delica between each end hole on the drop duos. Okay, so just 1 Delica, go into the next 1 Delica, go into the next drop duo, 1 Delica, all the way around. Okay, I went around a second time to reinforce, and I am finishing by exiting out of one of my Delicas. I'm going to pick up a Delica, and I'm going to, so I'm going in this direction now. Okay, my thread's coming out on that side. I'm going to go through the Delica here and the drop duo. Like this. Okay, so you now have a Delica going down right here. Coming out from the drop duo, you're going to go down the first 2 15-0s. You're going to pick up a Delica and 2 15-0s and another Delica. So Delica, 2 15s, Delica. You're going to look opposite, and you're going to go up the 2 15-0s on the other side right here. So we're adding an extra layer next to our 3 millimeters. So we're going to have an extra layer like this, okay? You're going to then pass through the first Delica of the 2 up here, okay, like this. You're going to pick up a Delica, you're going to move forward through the upper Delica. Then you're going to go back down through the Delica you just added. And you're going to move forward through the second Delica right here. like this. So you should have kind of a T or like a little Y shape, I guess. Okay, you're going to go down the 215 O's, and then we're going to pick up what we picked up here, which is a Delica, 2 15s, and another Delica. And you're going to sew into the first, you're going to sew into the 2 15s opposite. So sewing down through those 2 15s, give that a pull. Okay, so this is going to start to hold these in position. All right, you're going to sew through that first Delica. You're going to pick up a Delica, sew through the Delica at the end, go back down through that Delica, and forward through the second Delica and the drop. Okay, so we now have this, and you're going to move forward through the first two, through the next Delica. Now normally we wouldn't have this here, but if we didn't have one, you would add one. Okay, you're going to go up, you're going to sew forward through that Delica and down, and forward through the next Delica. Okay, like this. Then you're going to go through the 2 15s, and just like we did before, you're going to pick up a Delica, 2 15s, and another Delica. You're going to go up through the 2 15s on the other side, pull, go up through that first Delica, add a Delica and go into the upper hole of the Delica above the upper Delica, go back down and go into the second Delica and down the 2 15s. Again, you're going to pick up Delica, 2 15s, and another Delica, and you're going to go down through the 2 15s on the opposite side. Okay, so the first cube should now have that around it. Okay, and then you can move forward through the 2 Delicas because we've already done this upper bit here. So move forward and move forward through the drop and the first Delica of the next pair. Add the upper, the in between Delica, so go up through the upper one, go back down, and go into the second Delica. Go through the first 2 15s. You're going to pick up your Delica, your 2 15s, and your Delica. You're going to go up the 2 15s opposite. Okay. Go into the first Delica of the pair. Pick up a Delica, go through the Delica up above, go down through the Delica and into the second Delica, go down through the 2 15s, and then pick up again your 2 15, your Delica, 2 15s and Delica. Go into the 2 15s here. Okay, let's give that a pull. So one side, wherever you've done this, will start to kind of tighten up and feel pretty solid, okay? Once you've done the whole thing, it should feel pretty solid, okay? And then you're going to go through the two Delicas at the end and move forward through the DropDuo and the first Delica of the next group. Okay, so again, we're going to go up with our Delica into the upper hole. We're going to go down. And we're going to go through the second Delica and down our first 2 15s here. Okay. We're nearly done. This is our last circle, which is good because I'm running out of thread. Okay, you're going to pick up a Delica, 2 15s, another Delica, and you're going up into the 2 15s opposite. Give it a pull. Go into the first Delica of the opposite pair. Pick up a Delica, go into the upper Delica above, go back down through that Delica and through the second Delica here, down the 2 15s, and pick up your Delica, your 2 15s, and your Delica, and you're going to go down the 2 15s opposite, and into the 2 Delicas at the end. And give that a pull. Okay, so you will now see we have all of our squares completed. We have beads going up into the upper hole on all 4. So we are done with our bead. If you feel like you need to reinforce, you can, but otherwise you can tie in your ends and then you can use your beads however you want to use them, okay? So I will finish that off and I'll come back in a minute. Okay, so with our pack that we got in the treasure box, you had a pack of 25, so I was able to make a total of 3 beads. If you want more, I guess you can order some more DropDuos. And anyway, so yeah, I think I'm probably going to, as I showed you at the beginning, do a necklace or a bracelet kind of like this. I might get some spacers, some metal spacers to put at the end of my beads that we've beaded today, just to kind of finish them off a little bit. Anyway, you can use these squares in between like so, okay? Just to give a little accent and do it that way, okay? All right, guys, well, I hope you like this, and if you have a bunch of these squares, then this is a great idea of how to use them, and you can just get some DropDuos and knock yourself out, okay? All right, I will see you for another video very soon. It won't be long until we're getting our next treasure box, so I'll see you when that comes out. Okay, guys, take care. Bye.